Okay, so in this video, we're gonna look at the connection between HEESUNG and Jake from Enhypen. This video was requested. You can now request videos if you click the link in my shop bio. Anyway, we're gonna look at how Jake feels about HEESUNG leaving, and then hopefully we'll also get some information about what he's up to, what his plans are. If you don't know, HEESUNG left Enhypen, but you probably know. Whatever. Anyway, with that being said, everything I say is all alleged and for entertainment purposes only, and with peace and love. And let's go. Okay, HEESUNG is on the left, Jake is on the right, and this is energy in between. I mean, I need more cards, but so far, especially because the Page of Pentacles is sort of like HEESUNG's trying to offer something to Jake. Almost kind of like an olive branch. It's interesting. I don't know. I want more. He got that in one of his readings recently. The star in the reverse. Ooh. Oh my gosh. Wow, that's a lot of energy. It's a lot of major arcana. HEESUNG got the star in the reverse position, which is a lack of vulnerability. It can also be literally like the fall of a star, like the fall of celebrity. He did leave in it, but isn't HEESUNG's like planning on releasing music? And I saw in a previous reading that I think his music's gonna be good. I think it'll do better than I think a lot of soloists do, but it also was a while ago that I read that. Whatever. Jake got the sun, and it's sort of interesting because the star and the sun are very similar. They visually are quite similar too. It's almost like this child grown up. Also, the Hierophant in the middle, that's like, you could argue that's the company, though it doesn't really feel like it. It feels like a policy, though, or some sort of structure that they have to follow. I don't know a lot about Enhypen, but I got the impression that both Jake and HEESUNG were quite close and like brotherly. I feel like I've read on HEESUNG and Jake before too. I wouldn't say they're fighting, but I would say that there's definitely a riff. It's weird because it doesn't really particularly feel that emotional. It feels almost like I don't want to talk to you anymore, or I'm like kind of distancing myself. Specifically, Jake is distancing himself from HEESUNG. That's how it feels energetically. It's interesting, but almost like that hasn't been a discussion. It's almost like it just sort of happened, especially because if you move these cards back, it literally looks like especially like you see the green and the red, and then the Page of Pentacles has the green and the red. It's almost like HEESUNG is like asking something of Jake. I think Jake is a little bit miffed, maybe, that HEESUNG wanted to leave. It's because I do sense almost like we can't do what we were doing, or like I can't have you as like my support system, or there's something about that. I also like HEESUNG is pursuing a solo career, but there's something about maybe a little bit of like, I wouldn't say jealousy, but maybe like a little bit of like, you left to perform solo and not with us, I think is how like Jake is feeling. It's interesting though, because Jake got the sun card, which is usually like a card of happiness and like moving forward. The best way I could describe it is like in my mind's eye, if I see Jake and I see HEESUNG and Jake pass each other in the hallway, or like HEESUNG sends Jake a text message, it's like Jake is sort of like, oh hey, instead of like, oh my god, like my friend, like it's very like, oh you. I think Jake is I don't know, because the sun could genuinely be like, we're better off without you, sort of. But I sense like a hurt in him that he's not like fully wanting to communicate. That's bothering me. I feel like HEESUNG is frustrated creatively currently. Like he's not able to execute something he wants to execute. Especially because of the Knight of Wands right there. I think there's a lot of complicated feelings about HEESUNG leaving. I mean, because I know that in Enhypen there is the battle between OT6 and OT7, but within the group even, it's not necessarily a battle of OT6 versus OT7, but then there's a battle of people who are like, I think how you feel about how HEESUNG left, or that HEESUNG left, I think there's maybe a bit of a divide between maybe people who don't care and people who are upset and people who are maybe a little bit, I wouldn't say happy, but sort of like, we're better off without him. Like that's like all like, it's like, well, but it feels like it comes from a place of hurt rather than like pride or relief, if that makes sense. Anyway, HEESUNG got the Two of Cups, which is really interesting. I'm not trying to paint Jake to be poor, but it's almost like he benefits in some way from HEESUNG leaving, and almost as like I wouldn't say it's a cold shoulder in a really obvious way, but sort of like, it would be like if you and your friend had plans together and then your friend wanted to do their own thing, and so you're hurt and then you're sort of like, I'm better off without them, and you convince yourself of that. That's genuinely how it feels in Jake's energy, where he's just sort of like, whatever, but it's like deep down he's like disconcerted or upset in some way, unless they genuinely had a riff. But like I don't really see like a big fight, almost just sort of like, I feel like there is distance between them, certainly. Anyway, but Jake getting the sun and getting the Two of Cups makes me think that like he is connecting with somebody else, or almost kind of like, I wouldn't say he found like a HEESUNG replacement, but more so he found someone that he can be quite close with or buddies with, that like fulfills him and makes him happy. I will say on HEESUNG's side with the star reversed and the Knight of Wands, there's something there about him like not being able to achieve something related to his artistry. Yeah. I wouldn't say he regrets leaving Enhypen, but I feel like he is maybe struggling a little bit with the transition, especially now that because I said, I still kind of think this, that the decision for HEESUNG to leave was a very long time in the making, but it's sort of like, I think having the public now know about it and talk about it and point things out, it's sort of like a new wave of like this happening to everyone all at once, especially the members. So I feel like HEESUNG's actually like adjusting. Maybe for the first time too, because I remember reading that it didn't feel particularly emotional to him when he was transitioning. I think now it's sort of like, oh, things have really changed. And this thing I've been doing for so long, I'm doing something else now. But because he got the star, which is like celebrity, and this is like building something. But in the reverse, it's like, I can't build something, like the soil isn't fertile enough. The fall of a star. And then the Knight of Wands in the reverse is sort of like not being able to execute a passion or like misdirection. I don't know if he maybe is a little bit unhappy about what he could create. I don't know if he has full creative control or not. He still is under HYBE and B-Lift, right? So I'm sure they have a say in what he does. I feel like I did say in a previous reading that it was going to be like a split between what HEESUNG wanted and kind of like almost like they didn't want HEESUNG's brand to diverge super strongly from whatever he was like in Enhypen. But they don't want it to be like just like him as a soloist doing Enhypen music. But I feel I just sense that it feels like he's still frustrated. He's still frustrated about his artistic direction in some way. The 5 of Pentacles in the middle is really interesting because this is about Pentacles is like it's like money, but it's like source, it's like access as well. And I do feel like there's something between HEESUNG needing or wanting to connect or offering something to Jake. But I also feel like there's something about a policy. I don't know. I'm sure HEESUNG, or his name is Evan. I'm sorry. Are people gonna switch and call him Evan now, or is it just gonna be like HEESUNG that like officially his name is Evan? I don't know. Anyway, but there's something about like HEESUNG probably doesn't have access to all of the things he has access to anymore, like, you know, group discussions, group chats or whatever. So I feel like there's something about like there's a policy that is keeping them separate from one another, like they can't interact as much, or like I'm sure there's a lot that is quite top secret about when idols are preparing comebacks or just having schedules. And having the 5 of Pentacles there is really interesting because it's sort of like I get, because it's like the scales, it's like 2, it's like we're not like fully communicating with one another. I do feel like Jake has found somebody else. I don't, it's mean to say, but like I guess kind of a replacement, because I do feel like they work really close, very brotherly, very I support you, you support me. It feels like Jake was a little bit like, well, see you later, but I feel like it's because he was hurt. Okay, let's go. The World reversed. HEESUNG still doesn't seem particularly happy. His energy still feels like, I remember reading about Enhypen and like somewhat predicted that HEESUNG was gonna leave. I said that he was really unhappy and felt quite boxed in, and that the group was gonna go through a transition and he was gonna go through a transition, but I didn't explicitly say he was gonna leave. This was years ago. At the same time, though, his energy doesn't feel fully that different from when I was reading. He still feels frustrated. He still feels kind of boxed in some way. I'm not sure. Maybe that's just his artistic process, generally speaking, or maybe he thought something would change being out of Enhypen. I still believe that it was the right choice for him to leave Enhypen because he just like fundamentally didn't. It didn't seem like he had the right amount of freedom or something, but it seems like he's still running into walls because the reversed world is like something not being completed or fulfilled in some way. I guess it could be with B-Lift and like they're not fulfilling their end of the bargain, or they're not supporting him as much, because this feels like, from his vantage point, it feels like he feels like somebody else isn't doing something for him that they said that they would. I can't tell if that's in reality not, though. Jake is the Queen of Pentacles in the reverse position. That's like not nurturing something. Jake? Okay, I don't want to paint him in a bad light, but it really feels like Jake is giving HEESUNG the cold shoulder. Because the Pentacles right here, right? The Page of Pentacles we got in the very beginning. And now you have, on Jake's side, you have the Queen of Pentacles in reverse. So it's sort of like, it would be like HEESUNG keeps reaching out and Jake just like takes it and doesn't really do anything with it. And he's like, oh, cool, thanks, wow. Like very like minimal, not really talking a lot. I don't know. It's interesting because Jake's energy doesn't feel like really like deeply like angry or sad. It just genuinely feels like a cold shoulder, like iced. He like turns away. He's like, that guy who? It's did they have a falling out? Like I really don't know, because I feel like I did read on them before and it felt quite brotherly, and people say that their connection is quite brotherly. It's a little sad. It could be just for a season, like Jake is just in general quite preoccupied. The 5 again. Wait, I said this was a 6. Okay, 5 of Cups in the reverse position. That's interesting. You know why? If you look at the 6 of Pentacles, Jake has more Pentacles than HEESUNG does. And if you look at the 5 of Cups, Jake also has more cups on his side than HEESUNG does. it's interesting, but both of these cards are in the reverse position, and both of them, this one talks about like inequality and like giving resources money. This talks about like getting over something, like not crying over spilled milk, or like healing from grief. uh I will say the connection between them doesn't feel particularly emotional. I also feel like partly maybe HEESUNG understands why Jake is giving him the cold shoulder, because HEESUNG doesn't feel like, whoa, what the hell? It's sort of like, well, I'm gonna keep trying. It's interesting. I don't know. It could be the company's imposing something on them that like it makes sense. Because it's interesting. It doesn't feel confusing and complicated and sad. It feels like it makes sense, but it still feels like HEESUNG is trying to connect with Jake, and Jake is just not fully like taking it on. And I guess it also could be Jake is just not in a good enough position, especially because Jake did get the Hanged Man, but he also got the Sun. Anyway, I think they're a little out of step with one another, personally. They also, I mean, like, Enhypen's quite, ooh, not the Tower. Oh my god, HEESUNG, bro, we gotta lock in. All of HEESUNG's cards have not been particularly good. I'm a little worried for Homeboy. But I believe, isn't Enhypen preparing for a comeback? And they're like on tour, so I guess it could make sense why Jake is not fully like able to receive what HEESUNG is offering. That could be it too, because on Jake's side it doesn't feel like any sort of emotion. It's just sort of like, maybe it's literally a capacity thing, like I don't have capacity to like deal with you specifically. But I also do feel like Jake has found somebody else, like a new bestie or a new buddy or something. Anyway, HEESUNG got the Tower, which is a little concerning. Jake got the Queen of Cups in the reverse position. That's interesting, because I believe he also got the Queen of Pentacles. Yeah, right there. Woman. That's interesting, because I did a reading on HEESUNG, and there was like a lot of woman energy around them. Do they have like a manager, someone who's like, that we know of, that's like a woman? I'm not sure. Seven of Wands in the middle. That's like feeling cornered. Feeling cornered. I do feel like the members, I don't think all the members, I wouldn't, this is complicated, because I don't really feel like the members of Enhypen have a strong sense of animosity per se towards HEESUNG, but I feel like there is a sense of kind of like irritation, maybe, almost like you, I don't know what they had planned or whatever. Maybe it has to do with like fans and the fandom, because this can also talk about like the peanut gallery, if you will, or like audiences or whatever. And it might be that the other remaining members of Enhypen are a little bit angry-ish at HEESUNG, but really not directed at him, but more just the fallout of what happened because he left. So now like fans are having like a whole like fan war between OT7 and OT6, and the members are like, damn, like I wish that hadn't have happened. But it doesn't really feel like everyone is directly mad at HEESUNG and is like, why did you do this? It's more just like, because you did this, we have to deal with more burden, if that makes sense. And maybe that's why they're icing him out. I don't know. Anyway, HEESUNG got the Tower, which is like a big disaster or calamity. I feel like, I don't know, because I feel like something might go on with like his music. It could be like he's performing something and like it's just like not a really good performance, or like he sings live and then people give him massive backlash. I'm not sure, but it seems like something is coming for him, a collapse. I can't tell if it's public or not. It could be his music gets pushed back. Whatever it is, it feels monumental to him or important to him in some way, and it feels also related to something that doesn't happen, or like it could be something that doesn't happen, like someone doesn't follow through, so something gets pushed back, like he can't release a single. It also could be a collapse. I don't know. I kind of want more information on why he got the Tower specifically. Judgment, that's an awakening. Wake up call. Four of Cups. That's contemplation. I feel like, has he ever given like indications in his personality that he's kind of a perfectionist or like is hard to please? Because there's something about that where I think he's gonna get a wake-up call, especially working alone, or like maybe sourcing his own producers or working with like songwriters directly instead of through like Enhypen. There's something about him getting a wake-up call, because this is sort of like I'm offering you a lot and you're not taking it, or you're being too overly skeptical or picky. There's something about that. I want one more card. Page of Cups, about creativity. I think this might have to do with his creative process. He might have like somebody that like kind of smacks sense into him or whatever. It could be that he gets into some sort of clash with somebody, because this feels like the creative process. And in general, I feel like HEESUNG is struggling a little bit with the creative process of something. But it feels kind of self-imposed, if I'm honest. Like, I think he might be over blaming other people, but really it's like if you do something creative, you want it to be good. I do sense like he takes his work incredibly seriously, and it's like in doing so, sometimes he like overdoes it, or he's like too hard, but it's really because he cares. I don't know, but like something's coming from him, like a collapse. It feels devastating to him. Although to be honest, I don't know if that's like, I think it's something that needed to happen because the Judgment is like a wake up call. Whatever it is though, to him it feels big, but I feel like in the grand scheme of things, it's not like the end of the world. It's not like, he might interpret it as a massive setback, but it's really, it's okay. Like you're gonna be fine. His music sounds good, which I think is also a bit frustrating because I feel like sometimes when you're too close to a creative project, you don't realize that like it's like it was fine like 2 weeks ago and we're still like doing this and doing too much. It's interesting. I do see him really struggling and frustrated. I also feel like he not to say that, I mean, like, because I don't know, like, truly what his reason for leaving Enhypen is. He did say it was, you know, about BLIF not really respecting his creative solo work, but I feel like HEESUNG would benefit from having peers to bounce off of. And I think he somewhat misses that, but it also could be just because he's really used to it. Not necessarily like he has to like perform with other people, but I think having other members around to kind of share the burden and load of creativity with was actually kind of beneficial or useful to him, and not having that as much. That makes sense. I think I understand why we got the page, because the page of Pentacles versus the page of Cups, for example, because this is a lot more emotional. The page of Pentacles is sort of like, I want like a resource of yours, but not like I'm trying to use you, more like I need you to like help me with something or help me build something. That makes sense. Not even like he's asking Jake to like produce for him, but more like he maybe wants Jake's like feedback or just company while he like does something. I don't know. And he like clearly can't have that because I mean like everyone is so busy. I will say it doesn't feel like, oh, you know, the Magician and the King of Cups. King of Cups, the Magician, Queen of Cups, Queen of Pentacles. And one more. And the Knight of Cups. I think there's a lot of decisions being made by the higher ups in Enhypen and BLIF. I don't think all the members are that happy. I mean, there are a lot of the members, so it's like, for Jake specifically, I wouldn't say it's unhappiness. I would say he maybe is caught in the crossfires. I also feel like BLIF is more prioritizing the fan experience than the members currently. Or there's something about that. I also feel like there's going to be news again. I can't tell if it's good or bad, but I think it'll be important. If you're a fan, there's going to be news maybe about the HEESUNG situation. There's going to be news about OT6. There's going to be news about like their comeback or whatever. It feels like it's tea, but it doesn't feel like it's drama. Like it'd be an interesting like tidbit or whatever. But I really feel like whoever's in charge of Enhypen, like they feel like emotionally like in turmoil or something. I think this is like a broader thing that's going on maybe at HYBE in general. I'm really not sure. The Knight of Cups in a reverse position. I don't know if the members are being that well taken care of also, but I think that's par for the course, which is why it's not like devastating. But I feel like it's something that is like eroding Enhypen a little bit, if I'm honest. I also think that might be why Jake is not like entertaining HEESUNG as much, low-key. Well, wishing everyone well, with peace and love.